They get the credit because they know they did the work. But I don't have to say I'm the one that saved such and such, or I'm the one that did this. No, just be careful. Just be okay with with your piece that you played. Like,
so here's a thought that I was in a conversation with some people about. Sometimes we're realistic, right? And sometimes we're optimistic. You know what I mean? And what was another word we used? It's just being optimistic. So sometimes, we're very hopeful. You know what I'm saying? But then at the same time, sometimes we're realistic. I'm curious to whether those two things work together. How do those two things join, or can they be joined? Being realistic and being optimistic.
I'm gonna be honest, man. You got to get rid of the Woody Lynch and the jealousy and envy within us. That's the biggest thing that's holding us back.
The
Woody Lynch, jealousy and envy.
Yeah.
So that's got to be something that got to be worked within. Sometimes, somebody jealous of you, you can't fix that problem.
How you gonna work it within? Though we got to. If we don't, how can we address it within? How do we begin to say, okay, here's the first step? We got to identify with it, right? Like, and then you got to point it out. But a lot of times we ain't man enough to point it out.
So let me ask the question again, because I want to make sure I ask the question again. The difference between being realistic and being optimistic. Those are two different things. And y'all got them Google phones. Google either one of them questions on your phone so you'll see the difference.
Right.
Being optimistic is one thing.
It's one thing, right. So,
but being realistic is another. How do those two things, how are they connected, or are they even connected?
They are.
I think you got to connect them. You know what I mean? They got to be connected. Because reality says that, Muslim, they this, that, and the other, Christians, this, that, and the other. And we recognize, like you had just said, what you just said just made so much sense. The three dudes with the ropes. The realistic dude need to get saved.
Yeah, hey, can you restate what you said about the three dudes? Can you say that again?
Okay, so I was quoting from, because I'm not taking any credit for something that didn't come from me. Mm-hmm. I was quoting something that I heard came from Nuri Muhammad with the Nation of Islam. He said it was a man drowning, and there was three men standing by, a Muslim, a Christian, and a Jew. And all three of them had a rope, and they all threw their rope in to save the man, but their rope was too short. Mm-hmm. But to save the man, all they had to do was tie their rope together so the rope would be long enough. But they didn't want to tie their rope together because all of them wanted to be responsible for being able to say they saved them. Mm-hmm. So the question that I asked you, Jay, was within the reality was, you say you don't care about being a forerunner. I'm saying that that's a real issue in our community about who really wants the credit for whatever's being done. Correct. Because everybody is doing something. So I'm saying that's realistic what you're saying, because you don't want the credit. But at the same time, there's another side of that that's not really being looked at, that we're really not dealing with. That the issue is still there.
Definitely.
Because somebody's still dealing with that. And, it's not really like a Muslim, Christian, and Jew story, because the church got a problem with the church.
Correct.
Muslims got a problem with Muslims.
Correct.
I mean, like,
Correct.
Like, you ain't really got to go outside of your space.
Not at all. It's internal.
Do you want me to hit that realistic and optimistic? Because
Yeah,
I'm a AI fanatic, so I talked to AI about the difference, and I wanted to let you guys know what came about. So the realistic outlook, it had a few statements on it. It said, realistic outlook focuses on seeing things as they are, based on facts and logical reasonings. Acknowledges both the positive and negative aspects of a situation. Prepares for various outcomes, not just the positive one. Tends to set expectations based on past experiences and current evidence. Aims for a balanced view, avoiding extreme of optimism or pessimism.
Optimism is in the word, though.
Yeah. Now, the optimistic outlook says this. Emphasizes the positive aspects and potential positive outcomes of a situation. Tends to expect good things to happen in the future. May sometimes overlook or downplay potential risks or negative outcomes.
Only one outcome.
Yeah, encourages a hopeful and positive attitude even in challenging situations. Can lead to higher resilience and motivation in the face of difficulties. So in summary, a realistic person,
It's only one goal.
so it says in summary, a realistic person focuses on understanding and accepting the situation as it is, while optimistic person focuses more on the positive aspects and potential for good outcomes, often maintaining hope and positivity, even in less favorable circumstances.
It's only look for one thing. So that's why I said I think that what Jay was saying was realistic, but I was saying at the same time we have to be optimistic too, because we got to really understand that as much as we even believe that we don't want to be like that, we still all a part of the same hypocrisy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, you know, we contributing to this hypocrisy of how we get messed up. Like, we all a part of this same reality. You know what I mean? Like, we want to separate ourselves a lot of time, but if you asked us, what are we doing really to come together?
Correct.
You know
Correct.
what I mean? Like, I just think everybody's method, the methodology in which people delivery or interest in how to save, help, you know, serve the people, whatever that is, I just think it varies.
It does. It varies based off your money too. Because if you focused on getting this money to help people, that's what you focus on. So if you know you're gonna get $1 million to go out into our community and serve our people, once that $1 million gone, you gone. But if your heart in it, and you don't care about the money, you're gonna go in your own pocket and save the people because you know our people need it. So that's the difference as well too, because it's all about what's in you. Now, if you want in it for the money wise,
I think that's a great analogy, but I think we should be careful with that analogy, because a lot of times what normally happens is that's usually spoken of and from the person that doesn't receive those benefits. Because if the person that received those benefits, you know, like, is it possible that they can even care? If you gave Coach Dalvin the money to do the service, would he do the service because he had a caring heart before and after, or he's just limited to, you know, like, we kind of teach it from a poor perspective. We teach it like, you got to be poor to serve. You really don't have
you
to
really don't have to be. No. And I don't agree with that at all, because we're not supposed to be poor. I don't believe we got to be poor to serve.
I think the
But
people that get the money, I think that's just who they are.
No,
they didn't care broke up.
Right. Right. But usually the ones that's serving the money, I can't say usually because that's not truthful. But if it's money involved, sometimes you see the difference of servitude.
Absolutely.
And you know, you can tell who heart really in it, who heart not in it. But that's
But we can do that with each other. Depending on how much money you got, how you gonna treat me.
True.
It just ain't even gotta be about ministry help.
No, I'm not.
Right.
I'm just talking about in our community as a whole.
Yeah, our relationship is unhealthy because you got more money.
Because you got more money, and that goes back to the jealousy, envy, and all that stuff.
Yeah,
and so we got to break that. And because why are you mad? Because he worked hard or she worked hard to get where they are. Not they wasn't handed anything, but you jealous because this is where they are.
I
And
think
so
that's just their understanding.
yeah,
Because I think most people are dealing with, based on your research, your study, and your understanding, is going to help how you come to your conclusion.
Yeah.
Because you can only come to your conclusion based on the research and study and understanding that you have. I have a different research, study, and understanding. So I'm not going to come to that same conclusion. But how do we meet somewhere in the middle? I think it's hard for us to meet in the middle because, you know, like, responsibility, accountability, who right, who wrong, I think that's a hard fight, man.
It is.
Because, you know, we believe within the same reality that just because you right, I got to be wrong.
correct. But your life experience was different than mine.
Absolutely.
So I can tell everybody I don't speak on stuff I ain't been through. If it haven't happened to me personally, I can't speak on it because I don't know what I would do in that situation when it came about. But people would give all these hypotheticals of what they would do. You don't know what you're gonna do
So
in
I
the
got a question
situation.
for you. So in ministry, and I want to ask both of y'all from different perspectives, as well as Coach or whomever, Rob, whatever, want to ask this question. From where you are in ministry, what do you see some of the motivating factors that you use or that can be used to help the people? And remember, help is different because of the need. Everybody might need something different. But what would you see as some of the motivating factors that you do or can be done? And I want to ask the brother, have him answer the same question.
Yeah, well, you know, the first thing that really motivates me is passing on to youth seeds that I've grown to know as far as knowledge. I think knowledge is key. Because before you can do anything, you got to read up on instructions in order to get anything built first. So in order to get things built first, you got to go ahead and get that knowledge in order to build it. That's the first thing. So when I see a young person, you talk to them and things like that, and they remember what you said, that motivates me the most. That motivates me the most. So it's really getting into his head. You know, it's just like teaching your son or daughter. You know, it's like, okay, you tell them this and that, and then you don't think they get it, but then when they get older, they realize what either your mother or your father said. Mm-hmm. So that motivates me the most.
Jay, what you say?
What motivates me in ministry is just seeing myself grow first. It was a battle. Like I struggled with stepping into the role or staying in the world, knowing where I was being pulled to in the church. It was still that battle. And so each day it's a battle, you know, trying to figure out which way I want to go. But what motivates me is seeing people, when they ask me a question, I'm able to, or I'm the sunshine in their life, you know. I radiate that positive atmosphere. And so if somebody being negative or whatever around me, like, hey, you gotta change your thinking. Like, because if you wake up mad and you roll over out the bed like, oh, today is gonna be a bad day, it's gonna be a bad day. Right. Because you saying it right when you get out the bed. But if you turn over and be like, man, okay, we're gonna have a good day today, and in all through the day you reinforcing that it's gonna be a good day. Yeah, you're gonna have bad days, but if you roll out the bed, the first person, if I get to work and such say something to me, I'm gonna snap off. That's what's gonna happen right when you get to work. So you have to change your thinking, and that's one thing, and getting into your word, because it's all there.
Coach, you want to go near it? You want to touch it?
Yeah, you know, I like what both of the brothers spoke on, and I'm just gonna, you know, really just reiterate on what they saying. You know, the knowledge, of course, is number one, and also, you know, the mindset, right? The mindset, like Brother Jay said, me as a coach, you know, on top of that, I like, you know, the inspiring aspect of it, but then actually applying the steps. Because, you know, like I got this quote that says, applied knowledge kisses the mind needs love too. So to actually, you know, show the brothers that, hey, with this knowledge and you got these steps done, now it's almost like they can fish on their own. Because a lot of times knowledge ain't really fishing on your own unless it's applied. And so now it's activated the mind. So that's kind of my take on it.
I mean,
yeah.
Like the saying used to be, knowledge is power, and that's not true. Mm-hmm. Applied knowledge is power. And so,
yeah.
You know, I think that one of the motivating factors that I think we just didn't highlight a lot of times is that people want to know that somebody care, man.
Yeah.
You know, and the more people know you care, the easier it is to teach and reach people.
Yeah.
Because most people want to be understood, they want to be heard, they want to know somebody cared, you know, and that's why I think love covers a lot of that. And I think how we approach it, that's why I use the motivating idea, because I think a lot of times one of the main motivating factors to me is just being able to like remove yourself. In the words of Christ, you know, kind of denying yourself. Mm-hmm. See, really, I think a lot of times when we be trying to help other people, we be in the way.
True.
You can't really help people when you in the way. True. You know what I mean? Sometimes you got to remove you. I can't help you trying to help me. Because my interest is not you. My interest is really me.
True.
Right.
So a lot of times trying to help people, as you try to kind of remove yourself, or not just so much remove yourself, but make sure your interest is them. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Then you don't worry so much about what you're getting out of it. Back to what you were saying earlier about the money part. Correct. If I know I get a check to do this, then you're right. You know, like I'm doing this because it's my job. Mm-hmm. But my passion might tell me, hey man, look, your circumstances are so real. I'm interested enough in your circumstance to want to help them. Correct. So I might not even be thinking about me. We got a formula that we utilize right now, all of us that work together here. We're really not even worrying about ourselves. We're worrying about the mission, the big picture. And most groups and organizations like the Nation, the Church, the Hebrew Israelites, the Moors, the Temple, you know, like the synagogue, most places usually are structured around the mission, not so much the man or the person.
Correct.
We do that. We build it around people.
Correct.
You know what I mean? So I think that's why I was just curious about what the motivation was. Rob, did you want to expound on that?
Johnny, man, you hit it on the head, man. You know, you got to get out of the way.
Yeah.
You have to allow whoever may need some help or assistance. You know, you got to get out the way so you can really be a help.
Yeah.
A lot of times, man, when you on you, especially if you see a lick, you know, you see some change. You know what I mean? Like I'm at this change. When in all actuality, it's a person who needs some real assistance versus that change, and we got to get out of our way.
But
Hey,
at the
why do you
same
think the
time,
words say love covers
A multitude of
What?
sins.
You want to break that down or touch on that? I think that's important.
Yeah, I think when they say love cover a multitude of sin, man, it was something we was talking about earlier. You know, like how I came up. You know, I come up with different kind of cats, and how we played, or how we kicked it with one another. It was like, you know, it wasn't nothing for me to give you $1,000 and don't think about it. And then, you know, but it's the same thing. Now, when you get with other fellas, though, that's doing things and having things, they not able to see any of that. That kind of love. You know what I'm saying? Even though it was some street type involved, but they can't even fathom, you know, I'm going to give this dude $1,000 because he needed it. You know what I mean? That's what that is. It's more, I'm going to borrow you this $1,000. You can give me $1,500 back. You know what I mean? And covering a multitude of sin, man. That's you think about it, man. How many times we fell off the mark? You know, we missed the mark.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Missed the mark every day.
Touch on it?
I mean, love gonna outshine any day. It's just like night and day. So the sun gonna come up and it's gonna brighten up your day. So if you're giving love, it's hard for a person to hate you. And
love and understanding come with it too.
it does.
You know, it opened up new doors.
Yes, and then being genuine. I mean, I can say I love you, but then at the same time, if I got grief with you or whatever, it's gonna show. It ain't gonna.
Love's
It
an
ain't.
action. It's an action too, though.
Yeah.
It's not just a word. We use things in word
Yeah.
form, but it's an action.
It's an action. It's
Yeah.
my actions have to really show that this is what I'm doing and that's one thing why and like you said earlier, it's when you look at the different religions, everybody look at the man. And the man is always gonna fall short of the mark. And we was talking about the church earlier, how I just used the church for an example. If a pastor mess up, they blame every church, everything that
Absolutely.
Christian, and it's like, but he's still a man. You tell me he got to be flawless? It's impossible. And so why do we do that but we don't do that with other people. We only do it with the church or, you know, people that's in leadership, like they're not human. And so we put them on that pedestal. I
I
mean,
think too, sometimes, man, it's like what Charlie was saying earlier, the optimism and the realism. You know, we have to see what it is. But, you know, for instance, okay, we got a preacher or a pastor or what have you, but he on the tape. We got to look at that for really what it is. Man, you on the tape. You know what I mean? and you know, tell them whatever precarious type deal they might be involved in. You know, that's.
I think we don't give them a fair shake.
You know.
I think what Jay's saying, and I've always looked at this, I think that we destroy our people from the inside first.
we do.
So it don't matter what kind of scandal you put on the leadership, we tear them down whether it's true or false.
True or false?
By the
True or
time we
false.
tear them down, come find out it's a lie, we can't even build them back up because the lie is traveling now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't turn the lie off once it's in motion.
Yeah.
I think you know, a great way that can really stop that from happening is, I think if you have a leadership or congregation, I feel like everybody should be involved, because if you're more involved, you don't have time to focus on his or her faults.
Yeah.
You know, one thing I learned when I go to churches and every other organizations is always one that's doing the work and everybody just sitting back looking. But if you have more people involved, I think that would cut off all the distractions about what she doing and he doing.
Focusing on the vision. Is that what we're
Yeah,
saying?
a lot of people
Focus
are
on the
stagnant.
vision and
Including
the mission.
residential, a lot of people are stagnant, so they just sit and watch and don't use their gifts or talents to help build our vision as a whole. So I think if we got more people involved, I think that will cut out a lot of the BS that's happening in each and every organization.
But you know the crazy part about that, we always say more people involved. We can't make people get involved. They have to want it.
Yeah.
Because there's opportunities in every organization for you to step up and say, hey, I want to use my talent for this. But they don't. They sit there and be like, I ain't about to get involved with this. I ain't about to. But you complain every week about what's not
It's
happening.
gonna be standards. You can do it just like school. Hey, if you don't do no work, what you get?
Correct.
Or zero. So it's like, hey,
That really less thing.
yeah, we
Yeah,
have
but
to have
we've been
standards.
taught.
Yeah.
We've been taught how to hate each other.
Yeah.
And that just has to be reversed.
And we talked about jealousy and envy, and we didn't get in on that. That's all in that.
But see, I think what you was talking about earlier, Coach, around the mental health. See, a lot of it goes inside those mental health spaces. So until we really deal with, like we were talking about it earlier, Jay, like if the people need help, how do you spot the need?
But if the people, we know the people need help, but if they're not willing to accept
So
and
what's
to
the examination?
understand,
What's the willingness examination process?
for them to say, I'm gonna do the work,
Okay, so
because I can come to you and I can talk to you all day, but if you're not willing to take the steps to do and apply it and move forward, you're gonna be stuck because you
You're gonna be
complain.
on the team, you ain't gonna be stuck.
right. But now that's just
That's
one.
how we gotta do
That's
it.
one.
Yeah.
That's one soul left that we just had to leave behind.
Yeah.
Now we find the next one. The next. So I mean, it's like turning over stones until you find a good one.
So we saying it's
I
almost a
agree with
qualification process.
that. It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It's like a job
And-
interview. We at the day now
A fair
is
qualification
Yeah.
process.
Because we know everybody ain't gonna make it.
But
Is that fair to say?
Yeah, separate. No, hey, we know that.
Yeah.
If everybody was gonna make, we won't have a day of judgment, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
So we
it
just
is-
and then one thing about it, he just said optimism and realism. We have to realize not everybody going.
Right.
So we need to
It's
cut
that
out
simple.
the wheat
It's
and the
that simple.
tares we speak.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
and we got to just stop putting religion.
Yep.
And it's more spirituality. Once you get that relationship with God, I don't care what religion you in.
care
It's
what
your
religion
own
you
connection
in.
because
Right.
the nation gonna have their own. It's naysayers over there, but they stand over there because they want to see what's going on. And same thing in the church. It's naysayers wherever you go. But if you gotta have that own personal connection in order to understand where you're going. So we're not gonna save everybody. No religion gonna. It's always gonna be somebody out
That's
there that's
what
gonna
the
fall short.
cover a multitude of sins.
Yeah.
Work.
Well, I don't think save means what we think it means, what we be talking about no way.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Because I don't think the word itself has been defined. Because you say saved, it's a thing called savior. Day. You know what I mean? So
Oh, and when I said save, I wasn't even talking about on the church term. I'm just
No,
saying
not-
save, like,
period, like-
reach each person. Where we're gonna be able to reach
and I
everybody.
think that's what
But
we
yeah,
have to
yeah.
go to the. We have to almost have an etymologist or go to etymology
Okay.
to find out some dictionary or something to find out what does that mean.
What does that even mean? Yeah.
So we
yeah.
have like if you wanted to deal with AI with what is that? What is saved? You know what I mean, from an AI, like you'll get a different view of it because I think through language barriers we've given meanings and changed context and took things that apply over here to make them apply over there.
Correct,
And they,
correct.
they don't always apply that way.
Or
But I think
or we can read the same verse
and get a different.
and get a different interpretation because at that point in our life, in our circumstance, we see it differently. And then as you get older, you go to that same one and be like, oh, I was teaching that wrong. Or I seen it. And it's not even teaching it wrong, but I seen it differently then than I do now. And so now you got to readdress it, or whatever. But
I think we should leave us as teachers. If I was teaching somebody, I would always tell them to leave themselves enough room to grow.
yes.
Because you always, I think most have always come to a place where we all share this familiarity where we say, if I knew then what I know. Like somewhere in life, you realize something that you saw different or did different, that you understand it. I didn't understand you yesterday. Today, I got a different,
Yep, right.
we go through that.
Correct.
But I think we never leave ourselves that much room because we close ourselves in like you said with leadership. I want you to be a perfect person. So I'm not even leaving you any room to come up short. But if you do happen to come up short, I'm already set for that because I've already structured that as I believe you're gonna fail me anyway. True. You know what I'm saying? So it's contradicting, man, how we've kind of structured this thing. And that's why I think the revolution in one sense starts with self.
It does.
Because if you really work on you, the more you learn about you, the more you might have a better understanding of others. The less you know about you, because comparison is dangerous. And I think we spend a lot of times in comparisons. And I think that's very dangerous. Yes. A lot of times, depending on what you're comparing. And we tend to compare ourselves to others because of this relevance reality that we want to exist. Because I want to be relevant. Mm-hmm. Because we feel devalued if we don't feel like we measure up to somebody else's quality or skill set or perfection. You listen to them. you don't never listen to me. I got a problem with that because I want to be heard. Too. You know,
Yeah.
like you can use any scenario you want to about why we do what we do, and I think we'll just be able to just keep going because that's how deep the cut is. You know what I'm saying? The wound is you know, it's a scar there. You know what I mean? Something that signifies that there was an injury at some point in time. But I think that we haven't totally healed.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And certain things reopen those wounds as we're reminded of them. You know what I mean? If I was hurt by he owed me $20 and didn't pay me, man, listen, you told me you was gonna pick me up and you didn't come like you said. It reminds me of what he did to me when he, you know, like we need so much therapy, man. I think we look at therapy as taboo because we've given therapy a bad rap.
We have.
So we say therapy, when we use that whole idea of therapy, we look at it like
you crazy.
yeah, you gotta be nuts.
Yeah.
Because you go to therapy
Yeah.
when we really need therapy because in one sense we've been so traumatized. This is why we're in these religious spaces or spiritual spaces that we're after to help be self-empowered and self-improve because we feel like we need help.
Yes.
But the problem is, in another sense, is when we get to these places that's supposed to help us, we usually are mentally molested, exploited, different offenses, the inconsiderations that hurt us even more. So now we run from the places that we ran to, we run from.
Correct.
And then we think something's wrong with everybody that go there.
Correct.
So
And
it's
most
kind of tricky,
and,
man.
and most of the time when we need help, we go to people in our circle, and they all on our level. Like you're not going because people you hang out with usually you're in the same social class or whatever, and you all kind of think alike. But when you go to a counselor or get treatment, it's somebody that don't know you. Sometimes people just need an outlet so they can just hear. When they come out their mouth, they be like, "Oh, that don't sound right." So then they reevaluate themselves just by hearing it come out their mouth, or it just need to be that outlet where nobody ever say nothing back to you. You just gotta blurt it out, say what you gotta say, no judgment, no nothing, and the person be like, they just looking at you, and then they be like, "Okay, so now what you gonna do about this?"
Because the answer's within.
The answer was there, but they don't have anybody in their life to challenge them to say, "So how you gonna fix it? Give me a plan of A to Z of what you think you can do, and what you think is your own personal opinion of how you feel, how you can get to this next level." And then sometimes when you sit down with that therapist, they're gonna say, "Nah, this all not gonna work, but let's adjust a few things and let's work on this plan."
You know why we don't hide from therapists, but we hide from fellowship, friendships, relationships, a family. We hide from them because we don't want you to know our
Because
truth.
we don't want you to know our truth.
You know,
Yeah.
a therapist we feel comfortable with because I don't care about you seeing me like that. 'Cause
Yeah.
you don't know me. You ain't gonna be on the block telling that I'm doing bad business, that I'm mentally messed up, or I'm hurt, I'm sensitive. You know, like we think all these characteristics are bad because of through peer pressure growing up. We always was if you were soft.
Yeah.
You know, we say that in childhood, man, you soft. So we look at soft as a bad thing.
True.
Yep.
You know,
We look at it as a bad thing, or we look at it as you homosexual. You tell your brother, "Man, I love you, brother." "Oh man, that's gay. That's gay." We living in a homosexualized world. To everything you do or you say to a brother or sister is, "Oh, that's gay. I'm too tough. Don't tell me that." You know, so we got to really get that aspect out within as well. You know, because not everything is homosexual or gay. Because a brother or sister tell you, "Man, I love you, brother. Man, I like what you're doing." You know.
Yeah.
So.
But you know how much, and honestly, just by telling somebody, "Hey, I love you," even if it's not a
Yeah.
family member,
Yeah.
that sometimes brings joy to people's lives. Like, "Hey, that person care about me."
that's why I
And,
say
like,
I think therapists approach looks caring.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's why I said from a motivating perspective, we never look caring. We never look like we care about each other.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
We
That's
never
true.
look like I won't even care. I want to hear your story.
Yeah,
That's true.
Yeah,
Oh man, I ain't even consider that shit you talking about.
yeah. And the weird part about that, so I did corrections for 2.5 years. I was a sergeant, and I would sit on the floor with the inmates. I want to know your story. I don't need to know everything, but if you want to talk, come on, let's talk. Okay, what happened? Like, oh wait, hold on, you did. And so it's learning of what put you here. Because like I always tell them, everybody one step away from being in prison, one accident, one anything. And I want to know what happened that landed you here. Everybody ain't a bad person. They did one bad move and they landed them there. And so I learned a lot, like just listening. I ain't had no opinion on why they was there, nothing. Like I didn't read people's cases because I didn't want to judge you based off of what you did.
Right.
if you want to tell me, if we want to have this conversation, and that was the best time I had while I was doing corrections, like just talking to them, learning their story, and a lot of them, you know, remorseful what they did, and this and that, and you just landed up here.
You know what me and Coach always say, we want to be the examples that we don't have, and that's one of the issues that we notice today. Where are our best examples? Like, and I'm gonna use this scenario first. You know, when you wanted to be a street guy, or you wanted to be you seen a pimp drove a Cadillac.
Mm-hmm.
If you liked his car so much, you felt like the only way to get that car was to do what he did.
Correct.
So we see what we consider bad examples. But what do you see are some of our positive examples today? Because even within ministry, I don't see that people in ministry a lot of times are always our best examples, because we look good in the spiritual housings, but when we come to the general public, man, we almost worse than the people in the public. If you put a person that never go to the spiritual housings in a room with a person that always go, and you say, have a conversation with both or watch both interact, and then determine which one of them belongs to a spiritual house and which one don't, you wouldn't really know the difference, or you probably get it wrong, because the people that be in spiritual housings all the time usually don't tend to always have the best characteristics about fellowship and networking and being around people. They usually be most inconsiderate sometimes, or you know, less understanding, you know, because they always looking, I'm better than you because I go here, you don't go to these places, or you don't do. So I'm just curious to what would you say are some of our best examples from the spiritual housings? What are some of the best examples that because I know y'all personally, y'all may be some good examples because I've been around y'all. So y'all are good examples. But if we did a survey, and you could do it yourself, what would you think people would say some of their best examples were that come from the spiritual house? I'm curious, because I don't really see. I know we say we want to be the examples that we never see, because we need positive examples today, bad, really bad.
Yeah, we do.
So how do we become better examples, or what does that look like? What does a better example look like?
Yeah, well, you know, I say, you know, the best example, you know, a good fruit by is what works. So I think just going out there and doing the work, sometimes you ain't got to preach nothing.
I agree.
Your best example is your work. So when you get out there and do the work, and you do things that you love to do, I think that's the best example. You know, because actually the enemy done social engineered to take all the positivity off social media anyway. You don't even see nothing on social media about not even a good church.
That's good church, right?
I mean, no good pastors, no good Muslim teachings, no, they cut it all off.
Mm-hmm.
So now, and if we do talk about the church or Muslim or any other entity, it's always negative. It's either this pastor did this, or this prophetess did this, or this Muslim did this. So they took all of that off.
No, it's not that it's off. It's that it does get circulated as fast as the negative. So the positive is there.
And it's not as attractive.
And it's not
It's
as
not
attractive.
attractive.
There
Yeah,
you go.
it's not-
So everybody, because they want the gossip, they don't want the good stuff.
Yeah.
And so,
It's good social engineering too.
We had the conversation about the church people. I just use going out to eat after church. Most restaurants hate seeing church folks after church because they rude, they don't tip, they don't. But we got to change that narrative, because when our group go, like when the waitress put that gratuity on, I'm like, you lost, because I was gonna give you more than what you put on for your gratuity. But if you put 18%, my minimum is 20 starting out already. So if you put $10 on there and I was supposed to give 20, I'm gonna still give you the extra 10. And even if you give me subpar service, I don't know what your day was like. You could have had the table before me could have wore you out, and you tired. So now you give me subpar service. Sometimes I'm gonna have this conversation. I have had it with waitresses, like, what's wrong with you today? You off. And
you know what I think is good about that, what both of y'all saying? You become a real good example to me if I see you do that.
yeah.
Because I really wouldn't have gave you shit.
Yeah, right.
You see what I'm saying?
right.
You encourage me
Yeah.
or inspire me to not allow, you know, me to go through that way.
Yeah.
And like he said, you know, by example.
Yeah.
You know, by your works. So I think that's good. And that's why I was saying, I think if people didn't just see it, but you had a way of articulating that or mentioning that to people, that the only reason I did this is because of that, you know. Because sometimes people want to see you in a hostile situation. They want to know, like, no, why you ain't go off? When you tell them, they say, damn, I'm going to use that example later.
Correct.
If you didn't tell me, I just saw the example and I don't know how to apply it. But
Or
Coach,
you think
know
I'm
what
soft.
Yeah, that's why I said.
Yeah,
That's why I
so
said.
yeah.
So that's why I said when you articulate it, it
Yeah.
helps the people. Coach, you like to tip. You a big tipper. You always tip good. Coach, tell us, why you tip so good and why you such a good example, man. You always smiling, man. You making us smile. Knock it
Well,
off.
I like to inspire, man. One thing I know, God blessed me with leading by example. Just like you said, Brother Jay told you something, and now you looking at that a little different. And so that's what I try to always do, is lead and show, a person the way, and now maybe they can start taking that way, because maybe they never understood that was a way. So we just opening their mind, opening their pathways, to a new understanding, and that's what we have to do, because most of the pathways and knowledge that we've been fed, we just talked about social media, when you waking up, you're looking at a lot of negativity, but you expecting that person to go out and have it and be positive. That really ain't gonna happen. You said it's social engineering. We engineered to be in that light. And so if we can't walk out and be positive, then we just a product of that same social engineering. Yeah. All right.